Hello, everyone. I am Aika Ray,
And I'm Ralph Rivas.
and this is PayMongo Series B funding by the numbers.
Hi,
Yeah, hello
Aika. So,
again,
kumusta?
everyone. I'm good. It's been a while.
I
Yeah,
know. So, exciting episode for today.
I know. So today we are joined by PayMongo CFO. Hello, Jay. We are joined by Jay Olos, CFO of PayMongo. Hi.
Hi, good morning, Aika. It's nice to be guested here, finally. So, how are you guys?
We're doing good, but first of all, thank you so much for being here and congratulations on your Series B funding.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay, so let's just go straight to the point. Can you tell us about your journey securing Series B funding?
Sure, definitely. Well, it's a very exciting journey. Definitely not a walk in the park, just like any other startup companies. No? So, if you can still recall, we raised our Series A back in September 2020. And since then, we doubled our headcount, more than doubled our headcount actually, and focus on the product development and securing the necessary partnership for us to be able to, service a lot of merchants, especially the MSMEs in this country. So I guess in terms of our Series B story, the numbers that we have delivered in terms of our merchant base, because we tripled our merchant base from the time that we raised our Series A, and also quadrupled our volume process. So that in itself, I guess, is a good story for the Series B, and that's why a lot of investors, they got so excited when they know that we are open for raising another round of funding. So it's definitely exciting one, but definitely not a walk in the park. We have to undergo a lot of, I would say, work, just like any other startups.
Wow. So, can you tell us where do you intend to use the funding? I mean, $31 million dollars is a huge funding, no? So, can you tell us about your plans or timeline? Maybe target capital expenditures?
Sure. So a huge chunk of our 31 million Series B will be is invested into product development. So we're talking about improving and enhancing our existing payment products, as well as creating new product verticals that complements, of course, our payment products, online payment products. So we're talking about the likes of BNPL, disbursements, even lending or capital. So, in terms of capex, product development is an capex item in any other technology company. So, yeah, a big portion of that Series B funding will be invested in capex.
Um, do you have um, do you have any plans expanding regional as in other parts of the country aside from Metro Manila, maybe Visayas or Mindanao, or maybe eventually outside the region like ASEAN?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, the good thing about PayMongo is that we're already like national in scope. We have merchants that ranges from Apari to Holo, no. So
Wow.
so what we are there's always that exciting opportunity to expand regionally to other probably neighboring countries. But what we're thinking is, as we do our business in PayMongo, we are uncovering a lot of potential and opportunity within the Philippines alone. So yes, we're still studying the Southeast Asian market as to which markets to enter. We're looking at probably entering similar emerging countries or emerging markets like us, because that's basically where we think our products will be fitting. So if you can, somehow do it in the Philippines, it needs to be customized and tweak a little bit though to serve the other neighboring emerging countries. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done there. But for now, we're very bullish in the Philippines alone, because so we're looking at, the onslaught of pandemic made a lot of businesses realize that there's the beauty of technology, in involving technology in their day-to-day business. So from the time that the pandemic hit in March 2020, we have already helped thousands of businesses, particularly the MSMEs, to shift to digital through our platform. So, and we think that even after the pandemic, this will become the new normal for them, because finally there's PayMongo who can really help them grow their business.
Mm.
Before we go on to the next question, I just want to ask, do you have a timeline for what we will be expecting um, with you in the next couple of months, maybe, or the product developments that you're thinking of?
Yeah, yeah, definitely there will be product releases in the next few months. So we are going to launch, if not enhancements to, not just enhancements to our existing online payment products, but also supplemental products that can really help MSMEs. And also, we're quite agnostic in the markets that we are serving, that can also basically serve enterprise clients, or the big companies here, because they themselves, what they realize is that there's much work that needs to be done in order for them to um, not make their business adaptable to this kind of new normal, right? So, but they don't have the necessary, I would say, time, technology, and even within their skill set pipeline to do all of these things, because they really have to adopt faster. So what we are seeing is that we're going to launch these products that will definitely also cater to them in the next few months.
Mm. Now, Jay, you mentioned earlier lending. So I know PayMongo has the buy now, pay later scheme with GCash. But what about other products, lending products in particular? Um, any plans? Can you discuss more?
Yeah, we're looking into that space as well. But as you know, in order for you to do lending products, you have to secure first the licenses, right? So definitely, it's a very attractive space to get into, especially when we talk about becoming a one-stop shop for the MSMEs in the country. And the first and foremost need of these MSMEs, as they revive their businesses after this pandemic, is capital. So we are thinking about um, launching these capital products. So we're talking about the likes of, it can be a traditional term loan, can be even a credit line, things like that. So it's very attractive. It's a very attractive market, I would say, that we can definitely dive into if we have the license. So I think that's the first and foremost thing that we have to secure. Or if not having a license, we're also open into partnering with other financial institutions. It can be banks, it can be similar fintechs, right? So at the end of the day, we grow as they also grow. So there's a lot of growth potential through partnerships as well.
Hmm. Now, let me just go back on the Series B funding. Well, you raised a lot of funds on that, but what about an IPO?
Wow. Okay. Wow. So for a 2-year-old company, of course, everybody dreams of becoming big someday, somehow. But yeah, well, realistically, the road to IPO, it will definitely be a long way. Right now, our focus is into our what we are, what's our core, what's our true north is, and that is serving these businesses, big and small, particularly in the country. The road to IPO can come after that, after we finally, be able to deliver the value that we are promising to our merchant partners. If you will look into other fintech companies, the road to IPO might take a minimum of 10 years, right? So it's too far from, we're just a 2-year-old company. So frankly, our focus is really more on, developing our products and making our products really work for our merchants.
Okay. So, I think, Ralph, you're okay there? Okay. So, anyway, I just want to ask, the pandemic had grave impact on businesses, but for fintech businesses, I think you've seen a huge bump, at least in your bottom lines, as the pandemic prompted a wider adoption of cashless payments. So, how do you think the pandemic affected your business? And maybe can we know about the volume of transactions you've had during the pandemic?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I think in one of our press releases, we mentioned that the onslaught of the pandemics somehow um, made it not really beneficial for us, but it's really made us validate the product that we are building and offering to the market. As I mentioned, from March 2020 up to today, we already have enabled and helped a lot of MSME, thousands of MSME businesses to shift to digital through our platform. So, business performance wise, that gave us a very rosy top line in terms of our TPV and also our revenue. And But just like any other startup companies, a 2-year old in particular, we're still yet to see the black line.
Okay. So you mentioned, now that you mentioned TPV, I'm just wondering if have you reached like a million in
Well, more than that, way more
more
than
than
that.
that? Okay.
Yeah, I cannot give the exact numbers because
Of course,
it's
of
very
course.
confidential. But yeah, I mean, in the next few months, just we will definitely share more of our TPV. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So since we're still talking about the pandemic, how do you think the pandemic has helped the business grow? I mean, in terms of regulations, since you mentioned earlier that for some products that you're thinking of pursuing, you have to do, regulatory stuff, and it's not easy. So I'm just wondering if, because of the pandemic, has the government become more lenient in terms of approvals or anything related to that?
Well, I cannot speak on behalf of the government, but what I have seen so far is the government through the regulatory agencies has they become more open and more cooperative and participative in this space, particularly in using fintech to serve the underserved and to reach more people through technology. And I know that there are laws that being crafted at this very point in time that will somehow regulate moving forward this space. So there's that openness, I would say already, but I would say it needs to be sustained, and it would be a participatory undertaking as always with government, with the private sector, with banks, and even fintechs like us, and of course with the consumers themselves. At the end of the day, what we are wanting to do is serve these consumers, these merchants, these customers, and basically for the common good of everyone, especially on how to navigate the future of business using technology.
So how much have you grown during the pandemic? How many users do you have right now?
Right. So we call our users merchants. So we are in the B2B business. So we have grown in terms of seed Series A, as I mentioned earlier, we have already grown 3x in just a little over a year, I would say. In terms of TPV, we grew already 4 times since our Series A. So if you go back to the seed funding, that's way more like a higher multiple number. So yeah.
Okay. So last time you have, I think, 700,000 merchants, was it? Or are you nearing a million now?
In terms of number of merch, well, definitely the SME market is the number of SMEs in the Philippines is close to 1 million, right? So it's still a long road to go to capture that 1 million mark in terms of the SME segment. So we're still in the process of you know targeting and hopefully getting a big chunk of that market a share. But we've been increasing double digit growth month on month anyway. So I think as we launch, especially this new product, so it's not. I would say it's not impossible from happening. But I guess more than that, more than just increasing the number of users or merchant base that we have right now in PayMongo, what we want to really focus more is, getting users is very, I would say, quite easy, but retaining them, and
Mm-hmm.
also making sure that they really make use and maximize the value that we offer. That's always an ongoing struggle. So we in PayMongo not just we don't spend too much of marketing dollars in acquiring users. So what we do as much as possible is that we let our merchants market on our behalf, so by word of mouth. And we have seen that since actually our seed round, we have very, I would say, satisfied merchants, users, and they keep on referring us to their colleagues, their business partners, their vendors, and even customers, as if there's a need for an online payment gateway in particular. So yeah, I mean the road to getting that huge chunk of SME number of merchants, I would say, is not that impossible to achieve. Given the openness also of a lot of businesses, particularly Filipino consumers in using technology.
Now, Jay, I want to ask, the pandemic really helped the fintech sector grow. I mean, unintentionally. But another thing that grew this pandemic is the usage of cryptocurrencies. Now, I want to know what are your thoughts on cryptocurrencies, and what about PayMongo and cryptocurrencies? Is PayMongo looking at that space?
Yeah, I guess even if the big financial institutions and even the big investment banks are even themselves are creating divisions that are fully focused on crypto, then definitely I am bullish on the adoption of crypto, not just here in the Philippines, but globally around the world. It's just a matter of time, I guess, and also the openness and how really ready the regulators are in adopting this, because no matter how really we want to get crypto into our platform, if the governing law or regulations are not that, I would say, well crafted, then it will just result to a lot of vagueness, right? So it goes hand in hand. While a lot of companies really want to adopt crypto, there's really much needed education in the market, and second one is updating our current laws and regulations to adapt to the changing times, particularly in this tech space, and that includes fintechs, and fintechs include crypto.
Mm. And another thing that I find something common in between fintech and cryptocurrencies, the issue on cybersecurity. Now, how is PayMongo addressing this? If you can have details on where you're allocating funds to ensure
Yeah.
that money is secure, and no dirty money seeps into your system.
Sure, sure. So the good thing about PayMongo is that at the very early stage in the game, we were already able to build our fraud and risk detection capabilities. And our actual performance when it comes to cybersecurity, detecting this fraud and other risk in every transaction that we process, is actually way above the industry-wide standard, and that we are really proud of that. So even when we talk to regulators, or even of course there's a lot of those are common questions every time we engage particularly big companies to be in our platform. So yeah, I think we're definitely doing well in that front. But it will be, it's definitely an ongoing process. As you know, there will be more and more channels and for payments to get into. For example, the way we do payments like 10 years or 20 years ago definitely changed, right? So definitely the way we also detect this fraud, risk, and other cybersecurity threats need also be addressed. And also the human aspect of it. Like you can build or even have the most sophisticated technology to detect and prevent fraud from happening, and also secure your platform. But there's also a much needed governance surrounding that offline when we are talking about, you know um, making sure that all our employees are well aware of the cybersecurity know-hows, for example, and also the social engineering aspect, right? So I don't know if you have heard of a lot of fraud stories or cybersecurity stories that were perpetrated not because, I mean, despite the fact of them having a really sophisticated systems already, but just because of a glitch on the human angle. So
Mm-hmm.
fraud was, and cybersecurity threats were perpetrated. Sad to say. So it goes hand in hand. Human and technology aspects needs to be, I would say, um, need some emphasis in what do you call this, in making sure that we fight this cybersecurity threats moving forward.
Mm. Now, that's good to hear. Now, another question that I want to ask. I'm not sure if I'm gonna get the answers that I want to get, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. Profit outlook. Um,
Oh,
what about if you can give absolute terms or maybe percentages on that one?
well, it's a very, I mean, you're talking to the CFO, so definitely, and this is, well, we in PayMongo, we do, of course, we're very transparent and, in everything we do. But, um, and I can tell, just like any other fintech companies, for a 2-year-old company, we're still loss making. So we're yet to see the black line, as I said earlier. But the good thing about PayMongo, and I'm really proud of this being the CFO, is that from the beginning, we have already fixed our unit economics. So we're profitable at the unit economic level. So it's just really a matter of time and volume, so that in order for us to reach that back line and even profit. Maybe in a few years' time. I cannot say which year, but definitely we're getting there.
Okay, okay. We're nearing the end of the interview. Since we don't have a lot of time, I just want to ask you one last question, I guess. Um, what do you think is your edge versus competition? Why do you think merchants should use a PayMongo?
Yeah, well, if you ask a PayMongo merchant, and this is coming from straight from their mouths, because I myself, I have friends who are also merchants in PayMongo, and I used to be a merchant in PayMongo as well because I have small businesses before the pandemic. So, yeah. Um, so what they're saying is that PayMongo is the kind of company that, among other players in the space, that we are the ones who was able to connect, have deep relationships with them. So we have, because we have this strong expertise in navigating the local landscape and thereby providing them with value adding services, not just payments, helping them grow their business really. And, we are very responsive as well. They're not talking to bots, they're talking to real people every time
Mm-hmm.
they have concerns and issues what do you call this, to their transactions with PayMongo. But of course, it's a combination of having the local expertise in the market. We are a Filipino company, so we can definitely relate to them directly on their needs and wants. Number two is that we're also a small company as of this stage, I would say, relatively for a
Mm-hmm.
2-year-old company. So we feel their pain, and we're talking about the MSMEs. So we're easily relatable in that sense. And on top of that, um, I guess our main selling point is our superior and excellent user experience to our platform. So if you ask any PayMongo merchant, I think one of the things that they will always tell you why they keep on using PayMongo is that user experience really. So
Mm-hmm.
in fintech, I know there's a lot of fintech companies who are always trying to come up with really good products, advanced technology. But the thing about countries like the Philippines, you can have the best product out there, but if you will not be able to connect that product to your market, then there's no use, and it will be a long struggle really for you to get the necessary traction and adoption here, particularly in the emerging countries like the Philippines. So I guess from the get-go, PayMongo was able to hit the heart of these merchants. That's why they love us.
Okay, so maybe just one last question. Since you already mentioned about the fintech space growing, especially during the pandemic. What do you think? I mean, what's your outlook? You personally for the fintech space in the next couple of months or years maybe, or in general, like adoption of cashless payments?
Yeah, I think, I mean, I've been in the fintech space for almost a decade now. So I've seen the traction from the beginning, and the way I see it now, it's really accelerating at really faster pace. So I guess in the next 2 years, there will be a wider adoption of cashless payments, and the pandemic really served, I would say, as a realization period for a lot of us here in the Philippines, Filipinos in particular, about the convenience, the safety, the security, as well as the beauty of using technology in in financial services, in fintech, anything related to money movement. So there will be wider adoption, and the penetration of the supplementary products and other verticals, not just, I'm talking about fintech companies in general
Mm-hmm.
here, will definitely drive more adoption. Not just actually cashless payments. We can also uh, discuss about later on. The what do you call this? Like for example, with these we're having right now, we don't need to be in an office to meet, right? So we do have
Mm-hmm.
virtual meetings. So there's a lot of people already realizing that we can do business anywhere, right? Also, artificial intelligence and machine learning. So I think those are some of the technologies that will be, I would say, can be adopted mainstream probably in the next 2 years, especially for AI and ML. But for fintech, like cashless payments, definitely it's doable.
Yeah. Okay. Again, thank you so much, Jay, for being here, and
Thank you for having me here.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations again for the series funding, Jay.
Thank you. I enjoyed this talk. Have a great day.
Okay. Thank you so much. I am Aika Ray, and I am with Ralph Rivas, and this is PayMongo Series B funding by the numbers.